Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this class. Yesterday we have the Spanish version, and today we're going to do the English one. This is about Dotloop, which is your area for you to draft contracts and also to be in compliance with LPT. One of the things that I was saying yesterday, and to me, this is fabulous, and I'm going to tell you why. Before, when you were working, let's say in a different real estate company, or you were part of Extreme, it was different. You had to type all of your contracts in for simplicity, and then you were handling all your documents from there. But in addition to that, you had to open the transaction in paperless pipeline. Sometimes people will forget to do that, and you will inquire in a penalty fee of $100. Now, that went away because you're gonna have, it's like 2-in-1, because now you do your contracts, you draft all of your contracts from Dotloop. So basically, you are in compliance from day one. Before, you have to go to For Simplicity, draft your documents, wait until your client sign, download everything, go to paperless pipeline, create the transaction, and upload, and going back and forth through the entire transaction. Now it's a 2-in-1. You just go to Dotloop, you draft your documents there, and you are immediately in compliance from the moment that you start working and you added your loop. It's amazing. Second of all, Dotloop, it's a program that if you will have it on your own, it will cost you about $35 per month. With LPT, it's part of their package. You don't pay anything. It's totally free. And also, Dotloop has an app, so you can go to the app store and download the Dotloop app. I had it on my phone, and it's amazing. I love it, because I can do everything from my app. I can do contracts, I can do addendums, I can do everything, and it's just the same. And it's mobile friendly, so it's really good. So that's all included, so I can see everything. I don't know if you guys can see it, but so that's the benefit. Now you can access to your Dotloop through your LPT Connect dashboard, but also you can go to the Dotloop website directly. I have the Dotloop website already on my computer, so I just type Dotloop and I log in directly into my account. But you can also do it from LPT Connect, and you're gonna click right here, and it's gonna take you to your account. Okay, I see there's somebody asking a question here. Yes, Dotloop Business, the app. Yes, that's Yes, Jason, that's the one. So it's wonderful. I have been using, well, in fact, I have been using Dotloop way before we moved to LPT. So I'm very familiar with this program, and I really like it. If you were using For Simplicity, which you still can use, I wish you can transition to Dotloop, because you can, like I said, be in compliance immediately. But if you're using For Simplicity, you had to pay, I think it's $90 a year. You don't have to pay that now. You can save that money, use it for something else. So basically, all of you should be able to have your Dotloop account already. And as you see right now, yours is probably not going to look just like this. You are seeing like this because this is mine, because I can see everybody's transactions. I have admin privileges in my account, so I can actually check the transactions, give you a hand with your documents. If there's something missing or you need me to review a document, I can do it. But see, for example, when you join LPT, you should have received an email from Dotloop that tells you, well, you have been invited to join a team. So when you receive that invitation, you should have been able to join Dotloop, I'm sorry. And then it's potentially going to look like this. This is my profile. You see 4 different things because I have been using Dotloop since I was an OBP, my previous real estate company. So all of your once you have Dotloop, all your profiles are going to be showing in there. So for example, let's say I was using an Extreme International Realty. So you have to select your profile that has the name Extreme under. That's the one that you need to use. Because for example, this is my personal profile that LPT gives me, right? But that will be if I will be just a regular agent inside LPT, not a member of a team. Now, this is the Extreme team. This is where I can access to all of you guys' files, but also I can add as a you. I can go into your actual profiles and make changes. So I should be able to see you here. So if I don't see you here, it's because you have not accepted the invitation and I'm not able to see your documentations or your transactions. So you're in trouble. See? So I will never enter a transaction or create a transaction from this profile. I can't because it has to be under here. I have to do it from here. And you guys have to do it also from your name and Extreme because that way I can see it. Let's say, for example, one of our agents, Shaula, she was out of the country and she had everything ready for a closing. She was away from her computer. In fact, she didn't take her computer. She didn't take her computer with her. And she needed help with an addendum. So what I did is I went in real quick into her profile and I have access to a transaction. And I was able to enter and create that addendum that she needed real quick. And since she has her customers in here, I just share it to her customers and everything was done. So for example, another example, some of you may say, hey, Gabby, I have a contract or I have an addendum that I created, but in the past, what you will do is you will download the document and email that to me for me to review it. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just tell me that you create an addendum and if I can log in your account and review it. Guess what? I can log in into the account. I can see your addendum and I can fix it for you. So that's saving you another trip. That's what I love Dotloop. So that's basically, that's part of the admin rights that I have and you being part of the team. So now we're gonna go to basically to create it, created the loop. Let's say you are, okay, I'm gonna start, let's say from here. That's all of our team members. When you wanna go back, you go to here. What happened? Go up, up, up. Okay. So let's say you want to create a transaction. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to click here where it says add Dotloop or add loop, loop. And this is the first thing you're going to see. If the property is on the MLS, and if you type the property address and the property is on the MLS, it's going to auto-populate mostly the majority of the information. Because right now I'm going to be using a fake address, which is actually the office address. One second. Oops, sorry. I'm going to use the office address as a sample. And then we hit continue. This portion right here, I really need you to all pay attention because this is the most important portion of somebody's asking me a question. Can you erase loops that do not go anywhere? Yes, we don't erase anything in loop. We archive them. So if you need me to archive them, let me know. Just send me an email and I'll take care of it. So like I was saying, this is one of the most important portions when you are creating a loop. Please don't skip it, because with this one, it's basically you're telling Dotloop, to the type of loop that you're going to be creating and all the forms that you are going to need. If you skip this portion right here, it's going to make your life miserable because you need to add every single form one by one. So please stop right here while creating your loop and tell the loop, what type of transaction you're creating. So if you're doing a listing loop, or you're doing a leasing loop, or you're doing a purchase residential, like a single family home, or you're doing a listing residential, or listing condo, or vacant land, you're telling Dotloop all the forms that you are going to be using and that you might be using. So let's say we are going to do a purchase residential, which is the most used. You click there, right? And then hit continue. You can add a photo of the listing if you want. It's not necessary, it's not required. And then you hit continue, done. So you have your loop created now. Status, you're going to select pre-offer because you don't have that contract executed yet. And then you enter your price. Let's say in this case, $500,000. Then you click right here. It says enter closing. Okay. Very important. When you are preparing a access contract, a purchase contract, always look at the calendar. And I truly like that there's actually a calendar popping up right here, because you can see what day of the week is that one. I would truly recommend, when creating an access contract and sending a contract, refrain from using your closing date on a Friday. And I'm going to tell you why. If you close on a Friday, and let's say your buyer says, I'm working, I cannot take the day off, I can only sign at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Well, what's going to happen is he can come and sign, but the closing is going to be most likely what's called in real estate a dry closing. Why? Because banks have cut-off times and funding is not going to happen. So, and guess what? The next day is Saturday and banks are closed. I mean, they're open for deposit, but they're not open for wire transfers. So your buyer's going to get very upset that he's going to come and sign. It's not going to be able to get their keys unless you schedule a closing in the morning, like at 10 a.m. For me, I like to have my life simple. I never schedule closings on a Friday. I always schedule closings on Thursdays. Also, please take a look at your calendars and be sure that it's not falling in on a holiday, because you're not going to close in a transaction on a 4th of July or on a Memorial Day. So always have a holiday calendar handy before selecting your closing day. Otherwise, you will be seeing yourself creating addendums and changing contract dates and stuff, and that's adding more work for you that you don't need. So now that we have all that covered, we're gonna click where it says View Loop. So you're gonna see what you have created. So now we see the address, we see all these documents, right? Why all these documents are here? Because you took the time to select the type of loop that you were creating. If you skip that step, again, I repeat, if you skip the step, this is going to be empty. And you will have to add the forms you need one by one. How do you add forms to a loop? Well, just clicking where it says add a document right here. Now, a lot of people ask me, why there's so many folders? Why there's like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 folders? Because the loop creates them, or it's organizing their forms for you. So it's not like it's all crazy. So it's for your guidance, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why. What I do when I create a loop is I like to use this one. This is my favorite folder, which is called Ready for Compliance Review. So in this folder, you're always going to have the 4 mandatory forms that we use for LPT in every single transaction. If you're representing a seller, if you're representing a buyer, you're going to use these forms always. On this one, these are the new forms that were implemented by the Florida Realtors after the NARS settlement that are mandatory when you are working with a buyer. You cannot skip these forms. These forms are not optional. Even though here says optional, they're not optional. They're mandatory. If you conduct any business, meaning showing property, without signing one of these forms, you are going to get in trouble. You're going to get fined. So also, you're not going to get paid, because this is basically like your buyer broker agreement. So you have 1, 2, and 3. We're going to discuss this a little later. Then you have your compensation forms. These are the other 4 forms that were implemented by Florida Realtors. Thank you, Florida Realtors. To make sure you're going to get paid. If you don't send your access contract attaching one of these 2 forms, you're not going to get paid. This is what makes your commission payment official. So you have to use one of these forms. I'm going to explain soon. This is a different class, but I'm still, want to give you a heads up. And here are documents you may need. Okay, here's your contract. Here's your association disclosure, if the property has an association. If this is an FHA plan, loan. This is the lead-based paint, contingency, seller property disclosure. Well, these are all the forms. Okay, so what I like to do whenever I'm working on a loop for a transaction, I always like to go to this one that says documents you may need. And if I get my mouse over here, see how it becomes blue? It's like I grab the document and I put it up, 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 up. And I put it on my Ready for Compliance favorite folder. That's how I called it, my favorite folder. Okay, I see a question here. That's true. So I have my access contract, right? Okay, so now I'm going to select my compensation agreement form because I want to get paid. So now you're going to see two forms right here, right? These are mandatory by Florida Realtors. The name of the forms, they look similar, but they're different. This one, the first one is called the CASB1, and the second one is the CABB-1. 99% of the time, you're going to be using the CABB1 because this is basically how we have been doing business for the last decade, whatever, where the seller's broker, meaning the listing agent, pays the buyer's broker, meaning the buyer's agent, meaning you in this case. So the short name for this form is CABB1. This one over here is sellers to buyer's broker. This is the one that you may use in cases like, for example, you're working with a property that it's not on the MLS and that it's like, for example, a for sale by owner. Why? Because there's no listing agent. So here says that the seller will pay buyer's broker. The seller will pay you. So you will need to use this form instead. But let's focus on this one. And I just want to show you real quick what happens when you open the form. So when you open the form, it's going to open this window because the system helps you to pre-fill document information. So it helps you with your work, with your workload, right? We're not going to do that anything yet. I just wanted to show you how the form looks. Okay. Again, this is a separate class. All of you should know how this works. But just to tell you real quick, seller's broker is the listing agent company, buyer's broker, LPT Realty, property address, that's obvious, buyer's name, term. I always like to use 45 days, but it could be more. And I always put here what the listing agent told me they will be paying. Yes. You know why? Because now we don't know how much the listing office is paying because that's gone from the MLS. So yes, you have to contact the listing agent over text, over email, or call them and say, hey, how much are you paying? And if you're paying, how much you're paying. And if they say, well, I'm paying 3%, okay, you put 3% there. Plus our $495 that starting next year is going to increase to $595, starting 2025. But let's put $495 since we are still in 2024. And then you scroll down, and nothing else to do. Who signs this form? You and the listing agent. Even though here says broker and broker, Natalie Cox, which is our LPT broker, has authorized that you can sign to make your life easier, so you don't have to wait on her. You sign, and the listing agent signs. So basically, remember, this is the form that you send together with your assets contract if you want to get paid. And if you scroll down on the bottom left, see the name of the form? It's right here. Every single form in real estate has a name. That's how you can find it quick. So here's the name for that form. Okay, we'll be fine if listing agent offer 2% and I submit 3%. I will address that later, but if they offer 2 and they offer 3, okay, let me see. Listen, they're offered. Well, you're not gonna get fined, but if you're sending an offer with 3% in that document, and the listing agent already told you it's 2%, and you have to fix it because that's the most they're paying. Unless you have a exclusive buyer broker agreement saying that your customer, the buyer, will pay you the difference. But that's a separate class. So I just wanted to let you know about this form real quick. So, okay, let's go back to our loop. Let's go check the third folder. The third folder is actually the second folder. These are the documents that when you're working with a buyer, you need to have it handy. You cannot show property without having one of these three. You don't have to have three. It's just one of these three. If you're gonna show like a property, one property is this one. I don't want to get into so much of this detail, but there's a class that Natalie Cox show about this. But I just wanted to just make a quick point reference, okay? You just need one of these to show property and to get paid, because as a compliance, you're gonna need it. Okay, let's say this property has a association, so I also need these. So I grab the form and I go up and I put it on my favorite folder right under the assets. Okay, so right now I have everything so far that I need to create my contract and send this to my buyer for signatures. Unless, of course, there's some other documents needed, like, for example, let's say it's going to be an FHA, or this is a house older than 1978. Well, you're going to need these two forms. Okay, well, then in that case, you grab those forms again and put it on your ready for compliance folder, which I call my favorite folder. Okay. So now you have your folder complete, right? How you gonna send all these to your clients? Well, first of all, you have to fill these contracts, right? But before you do that, to save you another step, you're gonna scroll down, all the way down, and you're gonna add person, because you have to add your buyers into this loop, right? You have to add, you don't have to add me because I'm already there. That's me. You don't have to add LPT because they're already there. Yes, they can see all these. They can see that you're working on this transaction. That's why I was telling you, you are in compliance from day one. So, but you need to add your buyers because Dotloop doesn't know your buyer's name. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna click where it says add person, and then you are going to enter the person's first and last name, says full name, and their email. And you also going to give them a role. Please pay attention to this, because if you make a mistake right here, you're gonna give your buyer somebody else's role, and they're going to be ending signing in a different place. So if you're working with a buyer, please be sure to select buyer. If you're working with a seller, be sure to select seller, because buyers sign on the left side and sellers sign on the right side. So if you enter this information incorrectly, your buyer is going to be signing on the seller side, and you don't want that because you will have to do everything again. So in this case, we are going to enter, I don't, yesterday for my Spanish class, I think I entered Janet. I think, yeah, she's there. Okay, let's say Janet is buying this property again. So I'm gonna enter her first and her last name. This is showing up because I already have Janet in there. So if you don't have it, you will have to enter the email address. But in this case, since I already have Janet under my contacts, I was just selected. If not, you will have to enter your buyer's customer email right here. And then she's gonna be my buyer. Okay. And then you don't have to fill this out. Phone number, country, address, none of that. Don't worry about it. If you wanna send them an intro email, meaning to let your clients know that you are adding them to a loop, you can do that. You can click here. And then you can type any message you want. I never do that. So first, last name, email, and buyer. And then you click add person. So now you have your buyer, LPT, and me. Now, let's say you are working with newer title. With newer title, now you can have you can use a transaction coordinator. And guess what? Our transaction coordinator that we pay for it, if you use newer title, she also will help you with your Dotloop. So it's very convenient. So what you have to do is you have to also add her in here. So let's say, for example, you click add person, and then you put her first in email, last name. So for example, she's Michelle Martinez. And since I already have her, it's gonna pick up. So that's the good thing. You don't have to, if you use her again, because you're using your title, you don't have to enter it. But let's say I wanna add her, and then I give her the role of transaction coordinator. So that way she can see your loop and she can help you with your loop. She can go and make changes, help you with an addendum, reminders, everything. It's really cool. So I would recommend you guys to, it's something that we're paying separately for you guys to have that benefit. If you use newer title, of course. So now that you have all your people added, what you're gonna do is you're gonna work in your access contract, right? But again, this is not a class about access contract. But every time you open a document, this is gonna open up this window. So it's telling us that Janet is our buyer. It's telling us the address, the price. So you can start entering different things like, okay, well, my client is gonna put $10,000 in escrow. That's my closing day because I already entered it from before. Offer dates, expiration date. This is, remember, the day that you're sending your offer. That if you're sending an offer today on a Friday, please, please, please do not put that you want a response on a Saturday. Put Monday as the expiration day. So the calendar opens up, select the 23rd. Be nice with the seller. Sometimes not every single real estate agent works on a Saturday. So you can send the offer, but that doesn't mean they're going to reply back to you. So it's just matters of being a little polite. Property includes, okay, well, remember, whenever you are, always include washer and dryer. That's a trick that no one tells you. Washer and dryer are not part of any access contract unless you mention it. So be sure to add it. Property excludes, well, if they told you that on the MLS says that the chandelier and the living room doesn't convey, then you add chandelier or ring thermostat, whatever it is. And then you're gonna copy and paste your legal description and click in autofill. So let's say you have your contract there, okay? Also, you can add clauses in documents. Let's say right here, edit test, and then you can copy and paste different clauses here. So for example, one of the most important ones, and I'm gonna show you where. See how the clauses open up? Because we already create them. So you just start clicking something and it's gonna come up. So very important when you are doing an access contract. What it overrides an access contract, it's if you always add this second clause right here. See? The seller should close and open expired building permits associated with the property and pays and costs fines, lease associated with. So you select that, save. That's your clause. Why? Because if you don't add this clause to your access contract, it's an access contract. The seller doesn't have to close, doesn't have to do none of this. But if you add this to your contract, if you add this clause to your contract, guess what? And if they accept it, they will do it. And you have no idea how many times I have seen properties with expired permits, open permits, violations, and so many different things. So you're going to be protecting your buyer, adding this up to here. So as you see, you just click in here, edit text, and it's gonna pop up as before. It's not showing up right now because I already did it. So that's your clause. Okay. Any change that you make, you click save. Always click save. Right here on top. Okay, now you go back to your loop, clicking right here in this arrow. So let's say you already filled out your access contract, your homeowners association, you lead-based paint, right? Now you have these other forms that are mandatory for your customers, even if you're working with a seller or you're working with your buyer. Yes, Lynette, you can add multiple clauses, but the one that I just mentioned about is the principal one. I will not add so many different things because if you're sending so many different things on additional terms, sometimes the listing agent can get crazy. But yes, you can. So let's say you already have all these filled out, right? So remember, these are the mandatory forms for LPT 1, 2, 3, and 4. But this one right here is a commission intake form. This one you're not going to send to your customers because this one is between you, me, and LPT. And I'm going to do a separate class about this, but this is also something that it needs to be, I send several emails about this portion right here. In fact, if you check out your email, you're gonna find, I sent this email probably 2 or 3 times, how to receive your payment from LPT. Well, it says that you need to have all your mandatory forms, the ones that we're just discussing. We're gonna take a look at this soon, and he talks about the commission intake split form, the instructions. We're gonna review this in a little bit. Okay, so let's go. You're ready to send this to your clients, but you need to check these 3 forms, right? So you're gonna click first on the FL sales disclosure. Very easy form. You're gonna open this, you click autofill. You're gonna put the name of your buyer. Okay, and then you're gonna scroll down, and in here, you're gonna put the $4.95 that you're charging them. That's it, nothing else. If we are 2025, this is going to be 595. If we are in the year 2025, it's going to be 595. But right now it's 495 because we're still in 2024. Okay, that's it. And your clients needs to sign. Whoever you're working with is either seller or it's either buyer. See how the system already selected? Okay. You can also click here, assign field, and select your buyer. Okay. If you're working with just one buyer and you don't want all these orange things here, you can click on those, go up, remove field, remove field, remove field. And remember, hit save. If you're charging your client how they should look. Well, if you're not charging anything, you're putting 0 there. That's it. Now we go back. We check out the other form. The other one is this is just a way to tell your clients to be careful because there's a lot of wire fraud. With these, you are covering yourselves that if something happens, you know, because they did a mistake, you told them. So they need to sign. And the third one, and the last one, it's the LPT affiliated business arrangement. So real estate companies, by law, they need to disclose where they have other businesses. Even though they're not being used for the transaction, they have to. So this is just a disclosure to your customers. And then you assign field, Jeanette, and save. I just do that because I like to have the extra. I like to see the name Jeanette there. I like to see my customer's name there. But if you don't, if you don't do it, it's okay because the system is going to recognize that this is being sent to your customer. So now let's say that you have all your documents. Oops, me salí. Let me go back to my loop. Okay, let's say you have everything, fill it out, right? Now, here says, pay attention to this area right here that says not submitted, not submitted, not submitted, because we're going to use it later. Okay, so now we are ready to send our contract to our customer for them to sign. We're going to click only in the documents that we want our customer to sign. Remember, you're not sending the commission intake. Don't send it because they're going to get confused. And also, you don't send your customer your compensation agreement because that is for you, between you and the listing agent, this one. Once you have your documents executed and signed by your buyer, by your customer. So when you have everything checked like that, you go here where it says share. Okay. And then it's saying that you're going to be sending this to Jeanette. And this must always say can sign. Okay. It's always going to be as a default, can sign. Okay. So you click share. And Jeanette is going to, your customer is going to receive all these documents. They're going to receive an email from Dotloop. You're going to tell them, hey, you're going to receive an email from Dotloop. Just click on the emails. And what it's going to say is, that don't click here where it says attach PDF to email. Don't do that. Because if you click here, what's going to happen is your client is going to get confused and it's gonna open the PDF and it's gonna try to sign on the PDF. So don't do that. That's just an advice, because every time I send out my clients, open the PDF, instead open a blue box that comes on the email that says click here to start signing. So just an idea, just an advice. Okay, Gabby, how long does it actually take you to create a buyer loop? Me, 5 minutes, maybe. So you're done. And right now here says waiting on others, right? Well, once your client signs, this is going to change from waiting on others to sign. So now let's say that you want to send all these documents to the listing agent. Well, you're gonna keep them like that, right? Because let's say they're signed, but you're also going to bring back our very important form that we need so we can get paid, which is this one, right? We go up and we put it there, thinking that you already filled it out. You select it, and now you're going to uncheck the LPT ones, because the listing agent, he doesn't care about these three. The seller doesn't need to sign this. It's just that whoever is the LPT customer. So now you have all these 4 that you're sending to the listing agent, and you're going to go up here where it says download. You click download. I don't know why this is happening. Maybe because they're empty, but most of the times it's going to download your PDF. You're going to download the PDF, and you're going to send it to your client. It's maybe because I use this address for another. That's another thing. You cannot have 2 loops with the same address, 2 loops with the same address. The system doesn't like it. So you will have to change the address. If you're selling the same property, let's say, you change the address, and you can change it here. If you click here, if you click on the address, you can use custom name, or you can use property address, or you can use custom name and maybe slash the name of your customer in the case that this is the second time you're selling the same property. But for compliance purposes, we need to use the property address. Okay, let's go back to our loop. Okay, another important thing, another important document that we need to add to every single transaction is starting August, the Florida Realtors implemented another form, which is called the flood form. I don't see it here. I'm going to add it later so you guys can have it. So every single seller in the state of Florida needs to disclose if the property had a flood. So you need to have that document signed by the seller. Okay. The seller needs to sign the Florida sales disclosure. No. No, it's only your customer, whoever is the LPT customer, that it's being charged the $495. So if you need a form that it's not added anywhere in here, how do you add a form to your loop? Meaning, how do you access the library of documents? Very easy. You see how you have add document, add document, add document in each folder? Well, you're going to use the folder that you have been using, which is, again, ready for compliance, or how I call it, my favorite folder. And click add document. And these 3 boxes are going to open up. Forget about this one. You're never going to use that one. Browse if you're adding a form that you have in your computer, for example, the pre-approval letter, because you want to have it here in your folder for your purposes, whatever. How do you bring a form for the library? Templates is the same as library. So you're going to click templates, and all these is going to open up. See right here, it says rental forms extreme. I created this tab, and I added these forms because these are forms that Extreme created that are not forms created by Florida realtors, but I create them for make your life easier when you're working on a rental, because these forms do not exist. These are unique. Here are newer title forms. Like if you do a rental intake disbursement, commercial forms, everything it's very nice, organized. So my favorite place where I find forms is this one that's called Copy of Florida Interactive Forms. That's the one that I always use to find forms that I'm missing. And there is first in line our flood disclosure. No, I only can create the list. I as an admin, I can do that. I can create different things. If you need me to do something in particular, I can do it. And it's going to be, because once I do it, I have to do it from the Extreme profile, so all of you can have access. I think you might be able to create from your loop your own things. I take that back, Carmelo. I think you can. But we can elaborate on that later. Okay, so as I was saying, my favorite place to look out for forms is this tab called Copy of Florida Interactive Forms, because I find everything there. And there's our flood disclosure. You click on the flood disclosure, and then you hit copy, and it's going to import that form in your loop. See, right there. So this flood disclosure, it's mandatory for every single seller. If you're sending an access contract for a condo, for a villa, for a single family home, this document needs to be signed by the seller. It's mandatory by Florida Realtors, and it's mandatory for LPT. It's mandatory for compliance. So they basically need to answer if they had or not filed a claim, or if they have received FEMA help, if they have had previous damage, in other words. So basically, before you're sending that contract to the seller or to the listing agent, you're going to fill this out, right? You're going to fill out the name of the seller, the property address, and do not fill anything here. This is being done by the seller. And then save, of course, and then that's another form that you're going to be sending together with your package to the listing agent. And again, the 3 mandatory forms, LPT forms, you don't send them to the listing agent. These are internal forms, but you leave them there. And don't forget your compensation agreement. Always try to put that form under your access contract so you don't forget, because that's how you get paid. Okay? Okay, let's say that you have everything executed, you have all the documents. I will recommend always take a look on these forms, because the majority of times I see you guys not entering the information. And it's important. You know, I see a lot of times you guys send these addendums empty. And you need to put this information. You can, if you don't know, you can send these to the listing agent for them to confirm. And you can send it blank for them to fill it out. But if the information it's on the MLS, you should fill that out. We have another question. Should not, yes. That's why I don't understand this part right here why it says optional, but I'm gonna bring that out. I don't know why it says optional, but it's mandatory. But good point. So let's say that you already have, oh, another thing very important that I want to show you. Let's say, for example, you have this contract, right? And you make changes in the contract. How do you make changes? Well, you know that every time you make a change, you have to have the initials for both parties, right? You cannot make a change in a contract or anything if you don't have initials of the seller or the buyer. So you have this tab right here where it says add, that you can add signatures, add initials. You can also add a strikeout. Okay. So let's say you want to add, let's say later you change something on a contract that is fully executed and you want to add an initial. You're going to go here where it says add, click add initials, click in there. And then this little blue box is going to open up and you place the box wherever you are going to make the change. Let's say I'm going to change the closing date. So I just place it there and click again. And then I go assign field. Who I want this to sign? Well, I want this to my buyer to sign. See? That's how you add a box. Again, go add, click on add initials, bring it, hold it, click. Assign field, click on assign field, and select Janet, select your buyer. That's how you add a box. Let's say you add the box in the wrong place and you don't want it. You click on the box. Let's say it was not here, it was over here. You click on the box, go up. You see the little mark right here? Remove field. You click there. Again, you don't want this here. You can move it. You can grab it again and move it around. But let's say you don't want it. Go up and remove it. Okay. Let's say you want add a signature. You click and add a signature. And see how I can move it? I can put it anywhere. Assign field. Select your buyer. And there you go. Always click save after each single change you make. And then of course, then you can also save and share if you want to like save it and share it right away. Okay, I'm going to remove this out. So you can download also documents from here. You can print. So if you want to download everything or you just want to download this particular contract, download. And it says your document will be PDF. And that's how we see it. Okay. So we go back to our loop. So we have all of our forms there. again, this is a separate class that we're not going to be talking about this, but there's another class that Natalie Cox talk about this. She mentioned it, that it should be very important that you guys review it. Okay. So let's go back to this email that I sent to you guys. I sent it a couple of times. How do you receive your payment from LPT? Well, first of all, you have to have all of your forms executed by your customer. The self-disclosure where the 495 goes, the fraud, and the affiliate business that I previously explained. Document submission. So LPT can have access to your folder the minute that you are working, the minute that you created your folder, you are in compliance. But that doesn't mean that they are reviewing your file just yet, unless you submit it for review. Because submitting for review is basically you're poking LPT. You're telling LPT, hey, I'm going to be closing in 10 days. Can you please take a look at my folder to see that everything is in compliance, to see that I'm not missing an initial, to see that I'm not missing a document? Why? Because LPT wants you guys to walk away from your closing with your check in your hand. That's what they want. So for you to do the document submission, 10 days, they say 7 days, but you know how I am, right? So I prefer to do it 10 days before. If you do it 10 days before, you let them know, and then they will review everything for you. They will review that you're not missing anything. They will do that work for you. They will see that you're not missing a very important document. You know how many times they have reviewed the documents and some of you guys have forgotten to add the compensation agreement? Yes. And they caught it. And that's how some people have been able to get paid, because the listing agents were nice. So that's what they will do for you. Let me see, I have a question here. That's true. So that's the beauty, that they will do that for you. They will review that everything it's in place, compliance, perfectly executed, signed, there's no missing anything. So remember, 10 days before, or 7 days if you want to. I do 10 days because sometimes we have holidays and we have Memorial Day, Memorial Weekend, whatever, and then we lose days. So I like to do the 10 days, but whatever. So what happened is, what you're going to do, you're going to go back to your transaction and you're going to go to your favorite ready for compliance review folder, right? And this is our commission intake form. Remember that I was mentioning to you that I will teach a class about this? Well, there's another email that I sent that specify how to fill this out. This is part of your compliance, right? So you need to fill this out. Agent, your name, execution date, effective day of the contract. They submitted the day that you're going to be submitting. How much is your commission? Is it 3% or is a particular amount? Is this a purchase, listing? Is a personal transaction? Here are the bank accounts for LPT. This was mentioned in a previous email. I explained this in a little bit. I don't want to confuse you guys. Is this a low GCI? If this is a very little commission, you select yes. Is this property listed on the MLS? Yes. And if not, then no. How much? Who are you representing? You're representing the buyer or whoever, or both sides. Good for you. And how much are you charging them? The $495. This is super important. Title company info, email address. I'm going to tell you why, but keep in mind, you need to fill this out. opposing agent info. If you are the listing agent and LPT is paying the other agent, this needs to be filled out. Transaction coordinator, of course, if you're using newer title, you get the beauty of the transaction coordinator. Team, extreme. Team, lead name, you put Gaby and Tony. You're split with a company. What, I don't know how much is it you're split, but you will put it here. And then if there's a referral, here, don't worry about it. This is only if you're paying a referral to a LPT agent. And here, an additional notes, me and Tony, or Tony and I, we'll put some notes in here. So what you're gonna do is you fill this out, right? But don't sign it yet. Here's what you're gonna be signing. Don't sign it. Because every time you make a change on a Dotloop document, every previous signatures will be invalidated. So what you're gonna do is just fill it out very correctly. Hi, Mr. Martinez. Yes, Mr. Martinez, you raise your hand.
Oh, yes. Well, listen, I'm learning a lot from the master here, but I want to emphasize something, team. Gabi, is much nicer than I am, but every single week we have an issue with one of our team members not following the procedure and not having everything in place. And the closing is happening that day, the next day. Please understand that there's absolutely nothing that Gabi and I can do because we no longer stroke the checks. The checks are done by corporate. And please understand, this is not an LPT thing. This is a legal, ethical thing. Every reputable real estate company has to have compliance before the agents can get paid. We did as Extreme International. Now it's more complex because of all of the forms and everything that have to be done. But let me give you some examples. We had an agent that went through an entire transaction all the way to closing, and nobody knew about it because it wasn't done on Dotloop. It wasn't done through the process. It was done completely separate and apart. We come to find out, okay, this person had a closing. They had to start from scratch and upload every single item into Dotloop and then submit for documentation. Agent starts getting upset, starts getting impatient. Where's my money? Well, you've heard the saying, lack of preparation on your part does not constitute an emergency on our part. It took that agent a full 2 weeks probably to get paid. The other issue that you have is that the agent doesn't have the compensation form or has the compensation form, but doesn't have the buyer broker agreement form done. And here's the other issue. The two don't match up. Now, just imagine you already had a closing. The closing's done. You want to get paid. You represent the buyer. You got a commission agreement, but you don't have a buyer broker agreement signed. LPT can't pay you. Now you're having to go back to your buyer after the closing and basically ask them to do you a favor and sign that form so that you can get paid. And that was a form that you should have had signed before they ever saw property number 1. So I plead with you because Gabi's nice, but it's driving her nuts that every single week we're having to step in and clean up a transaction for an agent that was completely clueless on the process. So I'm really glad that you all are here. Think about all the people that could be here, should be here, and are not. But what you are learning today, if you implement it, will ensure that you're getting paid and getting paid quickly. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was looking into something. Okay. Let me see where I was. Okay. Can you guys see my stuff? You see my
Yes.
stuff?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to pause. I was drinking my coffee. My throat. Okay. So what I was saying is do not fill this out. Just fill it out, but do not sign it because Tony and I, mostly me, I need to enter some additional notes in here. And once I'm done with that, I will let you know, or I will send you the form back to you so you guys can sign. Those instructions, these instructions that I'm mentioning are also on the email that I sent to you. It says complete the commission intake form, ensuring that you will fill out the following details. Do not sign the form. Once completed, submit for review. Okay, so now let's say that I filled it out, I sign it, you guys sign it, and everything, and we save it, and everything, it's pretty, right? Okay, so now, what is submit for review? Like I was saying, LPT has access to this, and they're looking into this. In fact, as soon as you create a transaction, Suzanne Torres, which has been assigned as our exclusive compliance agreement, I'm sorry, no agreement, compliance manager, yes. Yeah, LPT, they're so cool that they assign people to be working for extreme agents only. By the way, Suzanne is bilingual, so she speaks both English and Spanish. She will be sending you an email, welcome you, and congratulating you for your new transaction. And it's going to tell you also the documents that you most likely are going to need. It's an extra help, right? And what you're going to do is once you have everything ready, let's say flow disclosure, access contract, compensation agreement, affiliated business, all the documents are ready. Nothing else to do, no more addendums, last minute addendums to create, whatever. 10 days before your closing. 10 days before your closing, okay? You are going to select your folder from here. Boom. See the top part? I click there, everything, boom. And you're gonna go up. See where it says submit for review? You're gonna click there. And then you're gonna select your favorite folder ready for compliance review. And then you select LPT corporate review. And then you're gonna hit submit. Now, I'm not going to hit submit because if I hit submit, LPT is going to be poke and they're going to get confused about me doing this because this is not a true transaction. Okay, we're going to repeat this. Once is 10 days before your closing date, you're going to select your entire folder. You're going to go up, click where it says submit for review. Select your folder. You're not selecting the other folders because you're not using those folders. Corporate review and hit submit. Okay, I'm not going to do it again because I don't want them to get confused. And all these that says not submitted is going to change. And this is going to say now submitted. Then in a couple of days, it's going to change to in review. In review, all this part right here. So now you know that they're reviewing your file. After that point, they will probably email you if there's something missing, and they're always copy me as well in every single email. So they copy both. and they may say, hey, I just look into your documents and you're missing a signature and you're missing an initial. Please understand, as Tony said, this needs to be done. And we went through the same thing when we were Extreme International, to the point that, yeah, we have access contracts sometimes that they were not executed by sellers. We were not able to make payments. So just to be sure, before hitting submit for review, please take a look of every single document if you can. If you're doing it 10 days before, that's good because she will do it for you. You don't have to do it. Susan will do it for you. But if you are like in the very last minute and you totally forgot about the 10 days, most likely you will have to do it yourself and see that nothing is missing, because what's going to happen is you are not going to get paid at closing. Because the purpose of doing the 10 days before is so you can get a disbursement authorization, which stands for DA, or DA stands for disbursement authorization, that it will be created by Alice Manera. Alice is our compliance, not our compliance, I'm sorry, our DA manager. And once Suzanne reviews the document, all your folder and everything, and she says, the folder is good to go, you clear compliance, she will send it to Alice, and Alice will create a disbursement authorization. Alice will send a copy of the disbursement authorization to you and to me to see that the amounts are correct. And she will send it also to the title company. You don't have to do it yourself like you used to in Extreme. But for her to send the disbursement authorization, please be sure that in the commission intake, you have the title company information, especially the email address, because that's the email address that Alice is going to be using to send your disbursement authorization. And your disbursement authorization, it's like what we used to call table funding, that Alice will send before the closing is done and before the funding occurs. A disbursement authorization cannot be sent after a funding has done already. So they want you to get paid at closing. So they want you to submit your file for review 10 days before, so they can have time, sufficient time to issue your disbursement authorization so you can review it, so they can send it to the title company. And then the title company, what they're going to do is they're going to cut your commission check. So when you go to the closing, they give you your check and you walk away happy with your commission. So tell me if this doesn't make sense. It totally makes sense, because that way you don't have to wait for it. Now, there's going to be certain instances that you might not go to the closing because your buyer selected a title company that it's in a different county, and you live in Broward and they selected a title company in Orlando. I don't know why people do that. Unless, you know, it's a property that it's out of Broward County. But in cases like you are not going to be attending the closing, you have to let us know in advance. So we tell LPT to send a disbursement authorization to the title company for the full amount. For the full amount. So then the title company sends a check to LPT, and LPT disperse your payment to your bank account. Okay? That's another option. There has been instances also that sometimes you go to the closing, okay? You go to the closing and you didn't do the DA because you didn't have time or because you forgot, right? So what you can do is also tell the title company to give you the full check for LPT, right? And what you're going to do is you are going to go to the bank and deposit that check. So you're going to deposit that check, and LPT has 2 bank accounts, one in Chase, one in Truist. You are going to deposit to whatever bank is closest to you. But you always, every time, please, every time you deposit a check, please write on the memo on the check the property address, just in case. It's the same request that we used to do when we were at Extreme. Just don't deposit a check and don't put any information, because checks are being deposited daily and it's easier for them to track. Just like it was for me when I was paying you guys from Extreme International. So you go to the bank, deposit the check, and immediately after that, you have to open a ticket. You have to open a ticket. Oh yeah, LPT doesn't have an escrow account. That's correct. So what you're gonna do is you are going to go into your LPT dashboard. Oh, very important. If you are depositing an LPT check, you need to take a copy of the receipt, and you need a photo of the receipt, and you need to take a copy of the check. The same request that I used to do, I asked you guys when we were at Extreme International. You have to, okay? You have to. If you are deposited more than one check, please make deposits separately. Don't combine things, because it makes life complicated for accounting. So deposit the check, make a photo of the check, take a photo of the receipt. And what you're gonna do is you are going to go into your LPT account. Let's see if I can open. Let me see. You're gonna start a ticket. Why? I don't see it. See here. Okay, let me see right here. Okay, let's see. What it is it? Okay. You're gonna go here where it says support. I'm glad that Robert is on the call, because he had done this multiple times very successfully. Moody as well. You go into start a ticket, and then you click here, accounting, continue, subject. You're gonna put the property address, whatever, Main Street, commission. Okay. You can put on the body, please see attached copies of the check and deposit. And then hopefully you already have those photos or files on your computer. You choose file, you click choose file, and you select and hit submit. I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to create something that doesn't exist, but that's how you do it. Immediately, probably in less than 10 minutes or so, you're gonna receive an email confirmation of what you did. That is basically telling accounting that you just did that. You can also let me know, just in case. Let's say, for example, it's a Friday, or we're heading up to a what's the name, a holiday. You can let me know, hey Gabby, I just want to let you know that we did this, because I can contact Jenna Lee. Jenna Lee is our accounting expert, and she will give it a push to this. We at Extreme have assigned people, like in a very nicely way. We're happy because LPT, they're being so nice to us that they assign special people to work with us and to help our agents. So that's what you're gonna do, okay? Those instructions are in this email. I copy this email on the chats. If you wanna go back to it, the links are there and the instructions are here. We no longer receive checks here But if for some reason, title companies made mistakes and sent checks here, well, that had happened. We deposit it and we let LPT know. Okay. But we prefer not to, because let's say, for example, the check comes here and I'm not here, I'm not able to know that your check is here. So it's better if we follow this procedure. Here says submit a ticket, and also remember property address, photo of the receipt, photo a check. Okay, that to me, that's the faster way. But even before that, the faster way is the DA. That's fabulous, because again, you can walk away with your check, or the title company will send the money to LPT and LPT will pay you. I have another question here. Do we start a ticket with rentals when New World Title is the escrow agent? No. Okay, that's another thing. Thank you, Carmelo. You had been on point. Okay, I have opened rental instructions. Okay, we're going to share rental instructions. So this is another email that I had shared before. So LPT does not have an escrow account. We are continuing doing the same thing that we have been doing while we were with Extreme International. And the way it works is that if you're representing your tenant, or most likely, you have a listing, you can always use newer title to deposit the escrow money, meaning the first month rental. Okay. Why? Because it's going to be easier for you to get your check, your escrow check, and your payment. So going back to Carmelo's question, let me say what he says. So in this particular situation, Caroline will send the money directly to LPT, and she will notify you. So you can also, if you want, you can start a ticket as well. But most likely what had happened, what I have seen a lot happening here, is that you deposit the first month with Caroline, you let her know that your walkthrough is coming up, you pick up the check for the other agent, because it's better if you go to a walkthrough rental with the other agent check. Otherwise, the agent is going to be very upset. You walk in with, you ask Caroline for the check. And once you have completed your walkthrough and you have submitted for review and everything is fine and pretty, then what's the name? They don't say, the LPT doesn't send DAs for rentals, but we will be notified, Caroline will be notified, and she will cut your commission check, because she's right here. She can cut your check, or she can send the money to LPT. She usually wires the amount or send it by FedEx, and then LPT will pay you. So that's how it works. But I would like that all of you to go through this, and take a look how it works, so you know how this thing. And don't forget, our when you do it when you were title and or any other company, is $150 escrow fee, and there's a form that needs to fill out when you were title. So that's basically it. Let me see if I'm forgetting anything. No, I think we're good. So let's see, view details here. Let's see that everything is good. Yeah. Okay. Always put the closing day. Don't forget to put the closing day so LPT knows the closing day. So they know that from the day that you submit, when they need to start on the 10 days. So I think that's it. I don't know if we can open now for questions. I mean, I'm okay if you wanna unmute yourself, but I think we have covered up everything. I'm just looking, and everything is good. So even once they do the DA, the disbursement authorization to get your payment, also they are going to post it here. Oh, and also if you want, you can, in additional, let's say you don't have access to your LPT Connect to start a ticket for some reason or something, you can also add document, browse from your computer, and upload the copy of the check and the copy of the receipt. And you can go up here and click here where it says notes. And you can send a note to for example, you can search for Susan. There's a lot of people in there. I believe that's all the people that work in LPT. So you look up for Susan here, Susan Torres, and you can send her a note and hit send. And she will receive it. And she can communicate through you with you through there. But you can also email to her, you can call her. I think on the on that document I added Susan.Torres@lpt.com. She's our compliance specialist. And Alice Manera, it's our disbursement authorization specialist. So you can communicate to their emails and they will reply very quickly. Sometimes it may be times that they're busy, so just be patient. And if something rise up or you need help with something, please let me know. Okay, so now, are there any questions? Please feel free, don't be shy. I'm gonna stop the recording. Remember, just like I have these two links in WhatsApp, in our WhatsApp groups, and I'm also gonna be resending these emails. But have it handy, guys, please. Keep this handy somewhere. If you go into the WhatsApp, let's say you go into the WhatsApp. I always post things in WhatsApp, the links, and the links stay there. Like for example, let me see, you're seeing my screen. Let's say, for example, here. I think I posted all of these links yesterday. And this is our Extreme Realty News. Only Tony and I and our admins can post in there. But if you want to look for a particular link, you click here from your phone or from your computer and go where it says Media, Links, and Docs. Click there. Go into links. And most likely you are going to find the links only in there. That's how you retrieve stuff from WhatsApp. Well, that was all. I'm going to stop the recording. I appreciate your attention to this class. Please save it and let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to stop the recording now.